All right, everybody, welcome. Welcome to the Psycho Inspiration. I always call it Psycho Inspiration because education in and of itself does not change behavior. Because if it did, we'd all be smarter, we'd all be healthier. We have the education, we have the information, but there's something about just getting information that we can deny and not do it. So that when like when I go to get my nails done and the donut shop is right next door, I know, intellectually know I should not be eating that donut. And yet I'm going to go eat that fucking donut. I'm going to eat that fucking donut. So education in of itself doesn't change behavior. It can help. It can certainly help. Inspiration does. And that's why we do peer to peer here. That's why we do these. And it's also why this is interactive. Now, I'm not here to lecture. I'm not here to give you all this information. I'm here for all of us to share and to discover together. So that's why it's called psycho inspiration. Never mind the fact that most of you guys are all fucked up. I know that because I work with you a lot. And so am I. So there you go. So we know that. Okay. I just have a license. So look what I found today in
Hey,
my right. I didn't even know it was there. And it says, if you can't see it, oh, because I'm like doing that, it's called self-love poetry. What? I had a book all this time about self-love poetry, and I didn't even fucking open it. Right? I didn't even look at it. And I thought, oh, this is when I love the universe because what's really interesting, and for you that all know me and everybody on this call knows me pretty well, I really do search out wisdom, not necessarily just information. I would rather sort of search out the wisdom of life. That I know comes from experience most of the time, not just information. And what's interesting is if you look in my room all over, there's just tons of books. Now, you would say that's just information, but a lot of it comes from people's experiences and the wisdom. And so the books that I really love are the ones that speak to the heart a lot of the time and speak from a place of practice. So, here, we will never ask you to do anything that we don't do ourselves and or we haven't done. So there's no hypocrisy here. We're all here to change what we want, to create the person we deserve to be and the life we deserve to live. So that's that. And this is going to be one of the hardest topics I think we've ever chosen for our MVP Pro. And the first week, of course, is the hardest because it's about self-love. And I want to tell you something that we now have discovered about self-love. Most of what you think about yourself and feel about yourself was either done to you or told to you, starting in utero. Starting in utero. From the time that sperm and egg made it together, we always hope it was the smartest and the fastest sperm and the wisest egg, but that's not always the case. And so we know that everything that mother goes through, what the father or other mother goes through affects the child and the brain development the most from conception all the way through 3 years. And so I want to tell you that there's shit that happened to you that affects how you love yourself that you don't even know about. You don't even know what happened. Never mind the fact that if you're firstborn, chances are you were the experiment. So that means that you had the parents at their youngest, at their least knowledgeable. So there's that as well. And the world kept changing. So if you're second born like I am, third, fourth, or eighth, whatever it is, know that what happened to you, even when you can't remember it, is a part of who you are and how you think and feel about yourself. So I've been going through this with a client. We just found a whole bunch of shit that happened to him. He's a second born when he was from conception to 3 years old. And he couldn't understand why, with all the success he's had and has, and he's only 29, he still doesn't love himself. And not only that, he's having a hard time being vulnerable and loving other people. That's how serious of shit that happened to him when he was little. So you may not remember it, but the fact remains is your brain does, your body does, and there are things that we can now see in people that we now know. We can see a lack of self-love, self-care, and even if they can't remember that it happened or didn't happen, whatever it was, that there is a struggle for all of us to love ourselves. We're also brought up by something that we have been proven over and over and over again doesn't work, and it's called reward and punishment. So not only did you have parents who did or didn't able to do to connect with you for those first years, when in fact that's when your brain grows the most, and that's when you get all of your information, most of your information about yourself that you can't process except in your body. We also know that we now can see that when that happens, when we see these effects of that trauma, that we can do things to help change it. So you don't have to remember something to be able to change it. You just have to be open to the fact that that idea of loving yourself is one of the hardest things to do, because reward and punishment gives you a framework, a context, that if you do something right that pleases the parents, you're rewarded. If you do something that they don't like, chances are you'll be punished. So now your entire way of being, of loving yourself, caring about yourself, is based on someone else's opinion about whether you're doing something right or wrong. Does that make sense? Raise your hand if that makes sense about it. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So I'm going to question every single one of you when you say, oh, I love myself, and I go, prove it. And the way we get to prove it is only one way: how we treat ourselves. How we treat ourselves. How well do we treat ourselves? And I don't mean when it's easy to treat yourself well. I mean when the shit hits the fan. Right, Carol? When the shit hits the fan, like Carol's shit hit the fan, like whack, whack. I know that when the shit is the fan, I've been through Carol's shit with him and Marlon's and Dustin's and some of Paul's and some of Carl's. So I'm looking around, some of Kat's and some of Leah's, and I'm looking around the room and I'm seeing how well do you take care of yourself when your shit hits the fan, not when someone else's, but when you have to face what you've done to yourself, and how well then you're going to figure out a way to change it, to heal from it. And if you can't change it because we can't change the past, then what you're going to do about it in the present and the future. So I want you all right now in the chat, because you know this is this whole idea of participation. I want you to write in the chat. Oh, look, Carol says, I'm treating myself good tonight and being here with MVP. That is true. That is a great way to treat himself well. That's absolutely right. I want you to put in the chat one or two words, things that you know that you've experienced that would help us define what true self-love looks like. Ooh, I didn't say feel. Isn't that interesting? I'm a therapist. That's because I don't give a fuck about how you feel. I care what you do. I care what you do. I don't care how you think. Most of your thoughts are not true. Most of your feelings are not facts. So I'm not going to try. I want to know what you're doing in order to create self-love, this ability to say, I really care about myself. And I'll start it first here. I remember, I don't ask you to do anything I'm not doing. So right here, this is one of the most important things I can do. Setting boundaries. I let everybody, I was a yes person. I was a people pleaser. I did shit that I shouldn't have done that hurt me just to make someone else happy. I don't do that anymore. I don't give a shit about if anybody else is happy. I was listening to a thing about, it's a podcast with Shia LaBeouf, and if you know anything about him, he's the guy on Transformers. Remember the kid that was in a couple of those at the very beginning? And he said, I used to try to make myself happy. That was my whole thing in life. He goes, I'm not trying. Hey, quiet. I'm busy. I'm very important. He said, I don't care. Hang on. Stop, stop. He said, I don't care about whether I'm happy anymore. I care whether I'm of service and whether or not I am living according to my principles. He literally gave up happy. And he said, I love myself more now than I ever have when I was there trying to make myself happy. All right, so let's see what people have put here. All right, let's go back because, oh, you guys are typing fast. This is good. All right, so acceptance and grace, creating boundaries. Sal, I'm going to say something. You can create them all you want. If you don't hold them, they don't exist. Fair enough? So I just want to tell you that because I tried setting them and then people blew right through them. So then I realized I had to actually hold them. I actually had to stand in front of them and hold them like I would anything else to stop. So that's just my thing about verbs, setting boundaries. And I should say hold them too. See, I should correct myself and say hold them, holding boundaries. True self love looks like learning and boundaries. Again, boundaries, learning. So we'll watch you change. When you're learning, you are actually doing different to be different. That's how we learn. Not getting too caught up with what others say about me. Oh my gosh. This is where the internet has really fucked us all over. You can go in, especially people who are well known, they go in and they read the comments. We have a thing with the people that I work with that are infamous and famous, and we say, we're not reading the comments anymore. Like, we're not reading the comments anymore. um, Not getting too caught up on what I said about boundaries again. Yes, Carol, boundaries again. Absolutely. Don't forget about boundaries. For Dustin, let's not. We're gonna obviously talk about boundaries. This is so interesting. Yesterday was day one of the 28 I Love Me challenge. Rhonda, where are you, Rhonda? I want to hear about that. I want Rhonda, give us one thing that you're doing to make sure that you love you. I want to know the action you're taking. What is that?
Okay, so a friend of mine, she's in Thailand, and she wanted to start this 28-day thing of I Love You challenge. So you have to post something every day saying how you love yourself. And what it is you're focusing on yourself being the most valuable person in your life. That's just it.
So, Rhonda, tell me an actual action that proves you focused on you today.
Yes.
What did you
Okay.
do?
Well, I was really stressed out today and I had to regroup and say, you know what? It's okay because I'm not letting this shit get to me today. And
So
that's just it.
you talk to yourself,
Oh,
right?
why not?
Yeah,
Why not?
you literally just stopped what you were doing and go, okay, wait a minute.
If you can't talk to no one else, you can talk to yourself.
Woo-hoo! Let's hear it for that. Isn't that the truth? That's absolutely true.
And sometimes it's better to talk to yourself than anybody else anyway.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Okay, we've got communicate and connect. Now, I want to say something about communicating. Who was that with the L? What's the first name? Leo? Is that Leo? Where are you? Okay, I can't see. Oh, stop.
Antonio.
Gosh, there you are. There you are. Okay, so I want to say something about communicating. We used to like with veterans, the retreats that we started and Boulder Crest and all that stuff. And we would have these classes, if, for lack of a better word. And well, we would make them actually practice communicating. So we'd sit in the seat and pretend we were someone that they have a hard time communicating with. So one of the things that we noticed about communication is that it really matters what you say, not that you just communicate. Words matter. So I want you to tell us words that you know or a way that you know that doesn't work for communicating and another, and then give us a way that it does work when you communicate. Like give us two sides here about why that's so important to you and what you've learned.
Well, I know that when I'm isolating is when I'm not taking care of myself, when I'm
Oh,
not being
all right. So when you don't
there for myself.
communicate at all, that's bad.
Right,
Right. You're
right,
not
right,
telling anybody anything.
right.
Okay.
So I'm already taking a positive step by
Okay.
communicating, by reaching out
All
to
right. So reaching out, what do you say when you reach out? Tell me something that you know works when you say it. Be
uh,
specific.
well, well, I always ask how whoever that I'm communicating is doing, how they're feeling that day, and before we end the communication, if we say have a good day, I tell them have a better day. You know, I
Okay. Okay. So you're
reinforce for them to be
noticing
more positive. Yeah.
To be more positive. So you're noticing that when you say, hey, hey, asshole, hey, should have, I'm really pissed at you because you blah, 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 that doesn't work as well as, listen, I want to talk to you about something. It's
Right.
kind of been bothering me and just let me get it off my chest. And so adjectives oftentimes don't help us, even though I love them. They don't when I'm trying to get to a certain point. So I loved what you said about that. You're absolutely right. We are hardwired to connect. And without it, it's harder to see our own self-love because we don't see it from someone else. So I want you to know why we chose peer-to-peer support for MVP and every other retreat that I've done with veterans and athletes. It's because we know that those of us that didn't have great connection with our family when we were younger or even now, that we are hardwired for connection, and we need to really uh, enhance that. We need to make sure that we practice that all the time because we see who we are in the face and the eyes of others. That's how children start to see themselves, is through the eyes of their parents. Okay, so great. Got it. Stepping into who God says I am. There you go. There's a wise elder to get some good information back. The gym, that's right. You'll get some great feedback about who you are as you get stronger in the gym, connecting with my very small circle. So there's a thing, I love this. Who wrote that? Jennifer. Jennifer, there's an expression that we talk a lot about is you become the 3 to 5 people you hang out with the most. That's what happens. You become like the 3 to 5 people you hang out. I just want you to think about your family right now. I had 4 members in my family plus me, and I'm thinking, oh, no wonder I struggled so much. I hung out for the first part of my life, with 4 of the most, struggling people I can tell you. Depression, anxiety, struggling with drugs and alcohol because of that depression and anxiety, lying, not being able to manage money. Like, if we become the 3 to 5 people we hang out with, no wonder I struggled so much as a child as I was growing up, and I tried to use overachieving. So I didn't really love myself growing up as a child. I really didn't. I just tried really hard to keep doing things that would prove to people I was valuable. That's how you can tell when you're struggling all the time or you're struggling mightily with your own self-love, is when it's based on J.D. Morris, when it's based on you trying to achieve so much. Look at, he's smiling because I got him. Like those overachievers, it's a dead giveaway that we don't love ourselves. And everybody thinks that overachievers actually love ourselves, Lauren Weeks. So that's actually what we look for in people. Self-care is alone time to relax. Marlon, I'm going to tell you, I'm so glad to hear that because you're also an overachiever. So I know that relaxing isn't your favorite thing to do. You have to learn how to do that. You have to practice that. And I've also learned the hard way about setting boundaries. Me too, Jeffrey. Not looking at group family chats. Yes, Jennifer and George, absolutely. Do not do that. I think that's a great thing. Yeah, our families, there's baggage that comes with them, and I love them from a distance. That's why I live 3,000 miles away. Staying away from social media, I agree, or at least minimizing. It's kind of like that donut thing. I eat 1 donut a month, but I don't have one every day or 3 times a day. So it's the same for social media. And Joseph has, I respect myself enough not to sleep. Oh, wait, Joseph, I'm going to ask you to take that down. Can you do that for me, Joseph? Okay. Go back into your chat and just take that down. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to say that to you why. Are you still here, Joseph? Where are you?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, Joseph, one of the things that we really pride ourselves here in MVP is that we don't make judgments about other people. So if you could go into that chat, can you do that for me?
Uh-huh.
Okay, good. Go into your chat and I want you to take what you're saying here. There you go. I want you now to write something positive about how you take care of yourself without mentioning anybody else or judging anybody else. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah. Because what happens is, there you go. I don't let outside noise bother me. And you know what outside noise is, Joseph? That's
Yes.
also all the remarks. It's the sexism, the racism, the homophobia, all the judgment. That's outside noise. That's when we put others down to make ourselves feel, look, and act more valuable, that somehow we have something of value. I also want to say that people who don't love themselves get involved in behaviors that truly, truly hurt them and can hurt them all the way to death. So when people are using drugs, alcohol, sex, anything like that, they are truly hurting themselves because somebody hurt them before. So that's one of the things that I've learned a lot about the lack of self-love. That comes from being hurt and you not believing that you deserve any kind of a care. So I know that when people are sexually molested, they can then use prostitution and they can also go and sexually molest somebody else from that. That we also know that people that were brought up with drugs and alcohol a lot in the household, or a lot of abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, that they are at risk of doing to themselves and others what was done to them. So what's so nice about not having the judgment about who or what people we think people are, we can start to see their humanity, we can actually see their pain, and we can actually see their hurt. So I just wanted to make that clear. All right, so J.D. Morris writes, reduce expectations and emotional regulation. All right. So J.D., I'm going to ask you to come on mute for a minute because JD, you are sort of the poster child, now grown up, about how you worked so hard on loving yourself by achieving. And can you tell us a little bit about how well that worked?
Well, thank you very much for saying that. It was one of the cornerstones, and I don't know if I fully realized it at the time, at a treatment center in Baltimore with the VA. And it started with psych education, and that's why it's so important to me. And that's what I try to spread the word every day, the education part. But like Susie said, it's just not enough. It was as simple as looking across the table, or it was a little group setting for the class. It was named psych education. I'm like, of course, I'm like, what the f am I going to get out of this? You know, what do they know? Although I had committed this time because it was almost another suicide attempt. I was truly desperate, so I wanted to do anything, but I didn't understand what I didn't understand. Kind of remember the Vietnam vet saying something like that. So, and I dug in, but unfortunately, I was still sick, so I treated it like the true enemy. And everything I grabbed onto, learning wise, I kind of turned around negative. But again, the seed was planted, and it was pivotal, and it was probably what motivated me the most in the last 5 to 6 years to grab on to the psych education and inspiration part, and formally and informally share that with others. So huge, Susie, huge.
Yeah, I know. And I think that is sort of some of the myths and misconceptions about self-love. We also use the word ego a lot. Oh, he's got a big ego. She has a big ego. Or when someone's exceptionally happy. And Jennifer, you wrote something there about happiness versus joy. And the other thing is that we're so good at masking how we truly feel about ourselves. And I was so guilty of that. I constantly wanted to make sure that people liked me. So therefore, I was going to be happy for everybody else so that they liked me, because I truly, if I made a mistake, I thought I should die because of the verbal abuse from my dad. So the idea of self-love, I never even realized that until I crashed and burned and had to figure out how to create the person internally that truly loved myself. And I'll tell you, the thing that worked the best for me was making decisions based on my principles. So when my thoughts about myself were not clear, not kind, not supportive, or my feelings about myself were not kind or supportive or well, I truly started to act according to my principles. And that started to build a respect for myself that I never really had. I was hiding. I was pretending a lot. So I can honestly tell you, from someone who didn't really understand the concept of self-love, I was looking for love outside of me all the time. So that's something that I think is really important. I'd like you all now to raise your hand if you'd like to share what worked best for you to help increase your actual caring. So love is a verb, means how you treat yourself, and I can prove this. We've said this before. I is the subject, you is the object. In order for you to have a sentence, you need a verb. And so that means it's an action. So love is actually an action, how we treat ourselves. So pick something that actually works and works for you consistently, that helps you stay in a place of self-love. All right. Who's going to go first? I think, Carl, you're up.
I would say, just echoing what I put in the chat, it's just I mean, the timing of this could not be better, because I have been temporarily restrained from being part of two singles chats from my church, because I apparently asked the wrong question. And there's a lot more to it, Susie, but that's something to put online. And it's just kind of acceptance would be one thing. It's like, kind of like, okay, this person she's not hearing me, but she's judging me. And she apparently is judging. I posted we had a panel of people discussing marriage, married couples, for speaking to the singles last Friday. And one of the guys mentioned he met his wife on an app that is very exclusive. It's one of these where you kind of have to be invited and interviewed to even join the app. Mm-hmm. And I have never been one of being exclusionary, or, just, I like being inclusive. That's one of the things I like about groups like this, and being with my veteran friends, is kind of been there, done that, and I can be listened to and I can talk. And so far I haven't done anything to get booted. But anyway, this woman replied in the chat about one of those exclusive apps where you have to make at least 80 grand to join it. And she said, I'll be looking into this. And I asked a question. I said, are you saying that you're kind of limiting? It's like she's seeking a guy, and it's like she wants to join this group to find a guy who's like more higher status and stuff. Mm-hmm. And just by asking that question, I was removed from 2 of the chats. And yeah, it's basically, I'm supposed to use the time between now and Easter to reflect on what I said. And then they might let me back in after Easter. And I'm kind of ready to tell them to, go kick rocks. But just kind of, I have to look at it kind of like, okay, you know what? Maybe that's a good thing. Rejection is God's protection and a step in a better direction, hopefully. So it's, yeah. And I've still got plenty of good friends that are in my corner. So yeah.
So I loved what you said about acceptance. This idea that we can accept ourselves. We don't have to be perfect. I've certainly made mistakes. I joke with you all, and it's kind of the truth is I make 5 mistakes a day. That's on a good day. And I have to accept that I have the ability to not do everything my best, or not do everything right, or hurt somebody's feelings, or do something inappropriate, that was fine with me, but not with someone else. And I really appreciate you say that self-acceptance. That has to be part of our daily practice. And Rhonda, I think that's exactly what this 28-day is about. It's about having self-acceptance, that you don't have to do everything perfect all the time. So thank you, Carl. I really appreciate it. Okay, who's next? Jennifer, I think you're up next. Yeah, Jennifer, you're up next.
Hi. So self-talk is a powerful thing.
Mm-hmm.
And what really matters is the things that you say to yourself, never mind what someone else says to you.
That's right.
And in a past life, I used to be a warrior and, just the like glass half empty kind of person. And not intentionally, but one of the things that I like, if you ever heard of a man named Ed Milet, one of my favorite quotes from him is, "Worry is the biggest misuse of your imagination."
Oh, love that.
like you had said earlier, Susie, like most of the things that we think in our minds never actually happen. So I think that's one thing I had to get rid of, one thing I had to learn. And another thing was self-preservation. I'll handle it, I'll take care of it, I, instead of just letting it go. And let somebody help you, bring someone else into the fray and let somebody help you. That was something huge that I had to overcome over time.
Yeah.
And also learning that falling in love with yourself is an actual thing. To treat yourself the way you want other people to treat you. So and it's not just walk with confidence, but also with certainty. Like I had said in an earlier chat, it's I am who God says I am. So everybody else be damned. It's who God says I am.
Yeah.
And just lastly, just to expand on the happiness versus joy, happiness is fleeting because it relies on external validation. And again, I'm one of those people, I really don't give a rip whether you like me or not. So, and that's very freeing. If you're not there yet, trust me, come over to this side of the water. It's come in and the water is fine. Trust me.
And Jennifer, I got to say one thing real quick too, is that when you don't give a hoot if someone does really like you because you are so convinced you're living according to your principles, you like you, people really do start liking you more.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's the point is that if you're people pleasing and you're chameleon, you're changing all the time and doing shit, that you think will make them happy. You're right. I mean, when you go, no, that's not good for me, or that's not good, people go, oh, I like her, I like him, like he knows what he likes, or like, yeah, they really, and they trust you more because you're not fleeting, like you said, with happiness, and you're not, you really got your principles straight and they know who you are and they trust you. They don't have to like everything about you. It's more important when people know that you're safe.
Mm-hmm. And joy is definitely internal. That's something you have to build. You have to work. You have to do the inner work.
Yeah.
And once that starts to build and starts to grow, it starts to show up on the outside and people can see it.
Right. Thank you, Jennifer. JD Morris, what do you got?
Well, to really answer that last question, it's been to find out and work on this concept. Because again, in the first couple of days of those courses, someone said literally, it's not possible to give something we don't have. So you say you're giving love and empathy and compassion to your wife, your ex-wife, the kids, people in AA, but son, you don't love yourself. So you need to restart. And it took a while, but man, when that finally sunk in, I'm like, well, that makes sense.
You can't give them $100 if you don't have $100.
But I'll tell you what, it was fucking hard.
It's really hard.
It's so worth it.
What do you mean? No, I love them. I don't have to love me to love them. Oh,
Yeah.
You mean you're using them then to make you feel better? Because that's really what that is.
So worth it.
Yeah,
You and MVP were a big part of it.
That's right. And you'll turn on them. If you don't love yourself, you'll definitely turn on them after a while. Been there, done that. Okay. So what we've come up with so far, and then we're going to have Carol and then Dustin and then Joseph. What we've coming up with is that there are certain things that we can do and not do in order to increase our self-care and loving. Oh, just like in the gym, just like any place else, there's certain things that we have to practice in order to, and Jennifer, you said it so well, in order for us to really believe that we are as valuable as anybody else. We're all of equal value. We're not the same. I'm not tall and all of that, but I'm of equal value. So I think what's important is we're still getting down to the idea that self-love is a practice. And it's just a little harder when you grew up in a family that didn't quite understand this idea of caring, nurturing, and honoring people's value. Carol, what do you got? What have you learned? What works for you?
Mine is very similar to JD's. I've been really unbalanced. I have often sought positions where I have responsibility to try to validate myself and fill my own cup. And when I found myself with being surrounded by lots of people is taking on their needs and wanting to solve problems and work late and not having my own respect for what do I need to do. So I've lived unbalanced for 35 years. And as Susie noted, I'm paying the prices for that now, but I'm reflecting on that. And I'm going to let some of these other things, I can solve a lot of problems, but I can't solve them all. I have to prioritize. So I'm finding a place to be comfortable, not solving the world's problems, whether that's at work or outside of me, just in personal relationships, so that I can balance out.
Yeah. I really
earned that gift over a long time.
Yeah. And when you solve everybody's problems or you're so helpful and everything, what you're really doing, and I'm so guilty of this, is depriving them of their own growth and competence. That's what I'm doing. I am literally depriving them of the opportunity of figuring it out themselves. And this whole idea of equine therapy, when I started to do this, and we learned to let the kids, the adults, whomever, figure out how they were going to halter that horse. Whether it was going to be right or wrong didn't matter. It mattered whether it worked. And what we discovered is you can put a halter on a horse upside down and it still leads the horse because the horse follows the person, not the equipment. So, Carol, I'm with you 100%. I remember one day watching my teenage daughter. It was when we had cameras and you put the cassette in them. For all of you younger people, we had.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I literally took it out of her hands. I said, here, let me do that for you. And I'll never forget the look on her face, as if to say, what are you doing? What? Oh, but I'm so helpful. Oh my God, she was so mad at me. And then I saw it in myself and I was like, oh, that's not good. This is not good. I don't have to fix everything. I have to be the one that fixes me. That's all I got to really do. That helps everybody around me more if I'm working on me and I'm balanced. Dustin, what have you got? What works for you?
So what works for me, to basically what it works for me, and then correct me if I'm wrong, like this is what I got. Like your question is what works for me about what can we do to increase our self-care and loving, correct? That's
Yeah. What's actually worked for you that you can go, this has helped me so much care about myself more than anything else.
One was going to the gym, being constant at going to the gym, working out, being around people. One is going back to school and furthering my education and learning to step boundaries and not taking people's and being a disruptor. That's the word I was looking for. Disrupting. If I see something I don't agree with, speaking up, but speaking up on a neutral term. Like before I would get angry and be like, this is rah, 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 and not going in there with that drill sergeant hand, but going in there like, yo, boo boo, like you do you, I do me, like what's going on in this situation, and having that self-respect for the other person and not letting my boundaries to be upset with what somebody else is going through.
Yeah.
What also works for me is helping others, like showing up. If a friend needs help, I'm going to show up. I'm going to be there for them. I'm going to do what I can to support those around me because those are the same people that supported me.
That's
so
true.
Like if there's people out there, like for example, the gym in LA moved this weekend and they asked, hey, can anybody come support? And come help us. I'm like, absolutely. I was there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I didn't make it today because my body's just beat up, but I showed up 3 days because the guy has been so supportive of MVP and the journey that we've done with them that he's like, why am I not going to be there? Why would I not show up for somebody who has given so much for us? Could have said no to us all the time, but then when he needs help, I'm going to be there because that's our motto. It's like, it's not like, oh, you go do you and I do me, boo boo. We have your back or I have your back, however you want to say it. So by living by that, I understand. And somebody said, keep your circle smaller earlier. It's having that small circle of people that have your back.
Yeah.
And we have that here with the people who show up for our weekly virtual groups.
We talked about, and you're being the person that you would like, they did something for you. Let's put it this way. So they were so generous to us that you then said, no, I'm going to give back because they gave so much.
Yes.
What we also have been taught, and I think this came from 12 step from Al-Anon, be the partner you want to have. So before you start looking for a partner,
Yeah.
and then I could say, be the friend that you'd like to have, be the mother you would have liked to have had, be the sister that you would like to have, or the brother or the father. Be the person that you would have liked to have had in your life in that role. Be the boss that you would like to have. And most of us keep what it's called, we keep count, we keep score. And so if someone didn't do enough for us, then I'm not going to give back as much. Like, oh, they didn't do this for me, I'm not going to do for them. What I'm hearing you say is, Dustin, is that you don't actually have an amount. You just said a lot, but you didn't sit there and go, well, they let us be in the gym 27 times. And so I only have to,
They could
it's
have let us
this,
be there once and I'll show up for them 20 times.
that's what I know about you.
It
is
doesn't
that
make a difference.
That's right. To be the person you want to have, not to the point that you deplete all your resources.
Yes.
We're not talking about that. That's different.
I
What we're
have none
talking
today.
about is this ability to be able to say, no, I want to be that person that appreciates and then shows my appreciation as best I can with the resources I have. Joseph, what do you got? What works for you to be more loving towards yourself? Oh, wait, we got to unmute you. Hang on one second. We got you muted. Hang on. Dustin can unmute you.
You unmuted.
There you go.
Okay.
Now we can hear you. Go ahead. What do you got?
Susie, what do I do? Well,
Yeah.
I've been in a couple of rooms, hostile rooms, a couple of times in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And what works for me is I sing to myself.
Oh, wait a minute.
I sing Mary J. Blige. I sing Yolanda Adams. This too shall pass. It just gives me confidence. Hold my 10 toes down in a hostile room, and I just feel more confident that no one can break me.
That's a great way. So what you're saying is that you have found a way to not have to fight in every conflict situation.
They want an argument. They want confrontation.
Yeah.
And I refuse to give it to them.
That's awesome. That's a great thing. Thank you, Joseph. I love that.
And I'm out truth. So.
Yeah. Great. We may have you sing some night, so just keep your voice going. Jennifer and George, what do you got?
Well, I keyed in, and I know it sounds we all are dealing with it, but best gift I've given myself to deal with this is my sobriety, because now I can see more of who I am. I can see or feel my feelings, and I can hear the problems around me and understand that I'm part of the problem. So before I was in a fog, so it didn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's so important. That idea that we face some of our greatest fear and sadness, and then we take a look at how we've been dealing with it, and it just caused more fear and sadness. I've done that. I've used things, people, in order to make me feel better. And I noticed that it didn't work. First of all, I didn't know how to pick people that were really nice to me based on how I was brought up. And number two, it isn't someone else's job to make me, because if they're not capable that moment, then what happens to me, right? When I'm so dependent on somebody else's thoughts and feelings about myself, or dependent on a drink, or dependent on anything at that point, and how that can really put us in a really dangerous and a desperate place. One of the things I wanted to share was about the idea that when we really truly don't care about ourselves, care for ourselves, respect ourselves, that does put us in a very vulnerable situation. And that actually can lead to not only self-destructive behavior, but hurting others. Like when people are so empty about their own self-worth, they will overcompensate for that. And that's when we talk about narcissism, we talk about sociopathic behavior, anything that when you are empty inside and you don't have the idea that you are part of humanity and that you're valuable and that you are able to emotionally regulate yourself and get along well with others, we become dangerous. And unfortunately, a lot of that does come from childhood. And then our job, though, is to say, okay, I had that in my childhood. It's now up to me to change it, to work on it, to fix it, to be part of it. Paul Mullen, I want to give you some flowers here. Paul, you came into these rooms not loving yourself very much. And we saw it, and we were so happy. I remember when you first came in, you first started to speak. And I'll tell you, Paul, you have probably done some of the greatest work quickly about making sure that you create the man you want to love and you deserve to be, and the life you deserve than almost anybody else I've met in these rooms. And I just want to tell you that. And it makes me so happy to hear from you now and how much you have given yourself that value and that self-respect. And in this dating world, believe it or not, I'm not dead yet, so I could still be dating. It's a hard thing. It's a hard thing. And I'm just watching you go through this with such grace and such strength. And I just wanted to tell you that. Great. All right. And that's what it looks like. So that just brings me to something else. I just want to, we've got a few more minutes. So I want to give everybody, if you have anything else you want to share about this, it's this idea that when we practice something, we can get better at it. And Leah, you're a yoga teacher. And so I know that about you. And I was thinking about how it's called a yoga practice. And that's one of the things I love about when we talk about yoga or medical law. They're all called practices. And even in sports, it's like you go to practice. Hey, did you have your baseball practice today? You've practiced. And I don't understand how we don't have self-love practice. I'm going to self-love practice. Yoga is a self-love practice. Am I right, Leah? It is.
You are right.
Yeah, I'm right. So I will never be as tall as Leah, although I've always in my whole life wanted to be as tall as Leah. I will never be as tall as Leah. And so I know that when we take the wedding pictures, it's going to go like that, like that. And then again, but that's okay because I have a tall heart and she knows that. And I'm funny and I'm the same height as everybody else when I lie down. And that's all that counts. So if you lie Leah and I down, we're the same height. Doesn't matter. And so I just wanted to say that one of the things I so appreciate about you, Leah, is that you very quickly and very young figured that out about that you will get good at what you practice. And even if you don't want to go to practice, even if you don't want to do this, even if you don't want to do that, you know that practicing is what helps us become the person we deserve to be and the life we deserve to live. So I just wanted to give you that because I know many things you have practiced for yourself. Jose, what have you got for us?
Hi, everyone. Jose. So I too had to, I heard before about going to rehab. I had a few stints in rehabilitation, and mine was a little bit different because they had to teach me to love myself because I was the yes guy. Yes to everything. Oh man, everyone loved me for my first 43 years. I'm almost 49 now. So, and I was, man, everyone loves you when you say yes to everything. So,
I know I've done it.
but when you say the first no or first boundary, man, do you get enemies.
Oh my
But what
God.
I learned when what I want to tell everyone is that what I had to learn in my head is how to, there was a point eventually where I was so fed up that I said to myself, I love myself now too much to let X happen. When I grew up, so Jose or Joseph, when I grew up, I was Joey. Joey, which everyone thinks is cute, but when I see something injustice happen to my own child or my grandmother or an employee or someone I don't know on the streets, I'm the person to go over there and say like, hey, that wasn't cool. Now I was like, if you were talking to yourself, if you were talking to Joey and that situation happened right now, would you let that happen to you? The answer is no.
That's right. The
So
answer is
I
no.
now protect myself by using my younger me to say, I love myself, which is me, for that to happen. So I now, if something happens and I'm like, I'm gonna let that one slide again, or I'm gonna let that one roll off, and I'm like, no, that's not okay. That is
Yes.
not okay. And
Right.
obviously do it in a respectful way. But that's how I had to and still have to approach it when things happen, whether I have to set a boundary or so forth or whatever. And I'm like, no, because I love myself too much for that to let happen to me. If I don't let it happen to others, then it will not let happen to me.
I've said that to people. I love you too much to help you hurt yourself. So no, I won't do this with you, or I won't do that. So no, I think we just found the title for your book, Jose, which is The Answer is No. If I was in the airport and I saw that book title, The Answer is No, having been a yes person, I would have grabbed that book. Because the answer is no. I'm working with a young man. Most of you know who I work with. So, like that young boxer who's like all kinds of crazy disruption. And I'm actually teaching him the word no. He doesn't know the word no. So, we're working on that right now, as a matter of fact. So, it's very important, Jose. I really appreciate. I want to say that, it doesn't matter how many times you go to rehab, it matters that you went. And you get it when you get it. I was just listening to a podcast, and the guy's name, he's an actor, and I can't remember his name. But anyway, the guy he was interviewing was an actor named Shia LaBeouf, and he's been in all kinds of issues in his life. And he was talking about that as well. He was saying sort of the same thing, how many times he went back to rehab, because each time he went back, he got more and more wisdom from it, that it was something that he said, oh, I don't think I've already done that. And he goes, no, wait, I haven't already done it, because I went 10 years ago or 5 years ago or 3 years ago. I'm different now. So when I go back, I'm going to learn something new, and I'm going to go back as this person and dig deeper. So I really appreciate what you're saying. And I always saw rehab as reparenting. It was kind of like a place that we should go where people start to really help us see the greatness of who we really are, and to see our value and then act accordingly. And I love what you're saying. And to me, that's what helped me the most, was when I started to act like the person that I knew I deserved to be. And that got easier and easier every time I did it. And boy, when you do it according to your principles, there isn't anything that I'll do now if it doesn't align with what I believe and what I live by. And it makes life so much easier that way. And if people get upset because I said yes a long time ago, or I used to be this way, that's all right. They'll either get over it or they won't. And so the last thing we can talk about is this last practice. There's a book out by Mel Robbins, and I like a lot of her work, and it's called Let Them. And some people are confused by it. And so it was Jennifer, when you said, I don't care what people think about me. Right? Oh, I don't care what and yeah, because you're going to have to let them have their version of you, because we can't crawl inside of someone and change it anyway. And maybe their version of you, their thoughts and feelings about you, are really not even about you. They're actually about themselves. So if we're always adjusting ourselves to get love on the outside from someone else's opinion about us, then what happens is you may not even be getting the real opinion about you, because it comes from their context, from their experience, and from what they want for you. So I would say that it's really, really important to every day do the best we can to be the people we deserve to be and the life we deserve to live. Lauren Weeks, I'm going to let you take us out. Lauren, do you think horses ever have any struggle with a lack of self-love? He and I love horses and we have horses. So do horses ever question their self-love?
Yes, they do.
Aha! Tell us how and why.
Well, they question many things in life, and it's usually resolved with a bodily action. Is the byproduct of it all, but they question. I mean, the pecking order is a good example. When you take a horse, or you add a horse, subtract a horse, then everything after that point is now up for grabs.
That's right.
And then we go back into the pecking order, and new alliances are formed, and new things happen. And and I mean, I kind of watch that pecking order change every day, out the back window, because I can see my horses. And
Yeah.
and what's interesting is the only thing in the relationship I have with them is that I'm in charge of them. I come in and I get to set the ground rules because I have something of value to everyone. It's called food.
That's true.
So,
That is
uh,
true.
and
So
if,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that is so true. And this idea of pecking order, it's this idea of who's really strong enough to lead us.
And it changes. I mean,
And it changes. That's right. Yeah.
I've watched my 28-year-old, 26-year-old retired dressage who went through the I'm 50s and I don't give a fuck what anybody says, right? So she's over here, and now all of a sudden she's now reasserting herself in a matriarchal dominance role over the younger horses. And then I got a crazy pregnant mare, and I've got a horse that was severely abused, that it's taken at least 7 years for her to crawl out of that damage. And then I got a former racehorse that is, he's still trying to figure his way out, because being in with a bunch of females and having no nuts, pretty much, he's got to figure his life out on a daily basis. Okay. So, I mean, hey, it's a joy, but, I hope
And
that answered the question.
it did, because I just wanted you all to know that all living species goes through this. All living species, not just humans. That we all struggle with our value and our place, and it can change. And it changes according to what we do, not what we think and feel. That's what changes us. It was when we practice, when we do something different. You guys were just great. I love doing these because I learned so much from you. I'm so grateful that you will participate in this. So thank you so, so much for being on this call. And we'll have another one in a month on another subject. And just again, thank you again, and see you next time. Remember, you deserve. Love yourself. Oh, let me lead you with one final thing. Here's something, Ron, you're going to love this. Your worth isn't their choice. It's yours. Your worth isn't their choice. It's yours. So take that. Bless you all.
Thank you, Susie.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Susie.
Peace out.